Let's pivot our structural narrative trackers directly away from corporate skyscrapers and enter a gritty, deeply emotional, and profoundly intense world of small-town sanctuary and survival. We are stepping into the vulnerable, high-angst territory of What is Love, an exceptional, high-velocity contemporary romance that serves as the explosive foundational architecture for Ashley and Rostek's acclaimed Bridge series. Let's lay out the strategic narrative grid. If you are a fan of stories where a deeply traumatized, fiercely resilient heroine must run for her life and build a completely fresh psychological safety buffer in a quiet town, where a protective, hyper-focused alpha hero uses his local influence and structural positioning to anchor her fading metrics, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, shattered survivor meets unyielding protector diagnostic routine to redefine trust, this book is engineered to lock you in. Rostek completely dominates the emotional recovery suspense dynamic, capturing the heart-racing internal momentum, tight-knit community atmosphere, and deep possessive devotion popularized by authors like Rebecca Yarros, Devney Perry, and Mia Sheridan, while treating severe personal trauma, survivor's guilt, and raw romantic healing with elite precision. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on our central protagonist, Joy. She is a walking act of pure survival, running from a horrific, dark past that completely compromised her active safety perimeter and left her psychological buffers shattered. Looking to disappear entirely from the radar of those who hunted her, she arrives in a quiet, isolated town, her internal defenses locked down tight, and her personal metrics flashing a constant system warning. She isn't looking for a connection. She is trying to construct a stable, low-profile life grid out of the wreckage. The spark ignites when her active scanning perimeter collides with the town's ultimate protective asset, the local alpha hero who commands the sector. He isn't used to encountering an asset as deeply guarded, hyper-vigilant, and beautifully complex as Joy. The moment his analytical focus tracks her visible vulnerability and the haunted depth in her eyes, his fierce, possessive instincts engage their deployment tracks, triggering an immediate system-wide mandate to shield her from the dark. The tactical parameters instantly explode as the reality of her proximity turns his structured world into a volatile psychological pressure cooker. Our alpha protector transforms into a fiercely realistic, entirely pragmatic shield, deploying his massive local tradecraft, physical presence, and unwavering loyalty to establish an absolute security parameter around her life. Every quiet late-night conversation, every shared moment of raw emotional vulnerability behind closed doors, and every gentle, fiercely possessive touch chips away at her clinical defense mechanisms. What follows is an exceptional, high-stakes war of personal perspective and internal survival. We watch Joy's clinical defense mechanisms slowly unwrapped as she begins a grueling, calculation-heavy campaign to reclaim her peace and learn what true safety feels like. While she rebuilds her internal stability, the overarching suspense tracking clock takes a dangerous turn, proving that the ghosts of her past are actively hunting her active coordinates, threatening to breach the safe haven she has fought so hard to secure. To survive the impending collision and outmaneuver the threat closing in, our possessive hero and his resilient partner must unleash an absolute unyielding defense of the fragile bond they've built. It is a contemporary romance, romantic suspense, hurt comfort drama, small-town protective fiction masterpiece that treats deep psychological logistics and intense emotional friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We are talking about that high-frequency I will be the anchor that holds you together when the world storms energy, where a sudden noise in the dark, an unexpected knock on a sanctuary door, or a heavy, reassuring hand resting gently on a shoulder carries massive structural weight. Rostek writes with an exceptionally fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the clinical cold chill of fear, the oppressive atmosphere of past trauma, and the distinct subtle scent of crisp, fresh air, safe spaces, old wood, and pure, unadulterated devotion. What truly elevates this milestone series opener into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance realistic trauma recovery alongside breathless romantic heat and pacing. Our heroine isn't a passive asset waiting to be rescued. Her immense psychological grit, inner strength, and determination to survive match the complexity of the protective world her partner dominates step for step, making her choice to surrender to the bond feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense emotional stalemates and breathtaking physical defensive sequences before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that leaves readers desperate to download the next phase of the series. What is Love is the definitive pro-level upgrade your contemporary romance and high-stakes romantic suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire universe has been fractured by the unthinkable, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to trust the protector who would burn down the dark just to keep you safe. So, secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to cross the bridge.